A Metro family is dealing with the heartbreaking death of their 5-month-old.
And they feel their home may have played a part. Brittany Toulis is here with more from the family.
Carl, Bobby, the family moved in March and noticed something slimy dripping from air vents on day one. Luca's mom found him cold in his crib 5 months later. But it was 2 weeks ago when they saw people in hazmat suits gutting the neighboring unit for a mold infestation. Macy saying they noticed a weird smell moving into the Magnolia apartments.
Heavy, almost like an old basement that would be wet and heavy.
And yellow dripping and weird stains in their first few days here.
Along the edges up on below our vents and everything, there's like this yellow brown stuff that leaks down our walls.
Like smeared, like gooey on the floor.
The smell hung, and Luca developed a cough and constant runny eyes. August 22nd, Macy took her nearly 6-month-old to the hospital, who told her to keep an eye on his cough. After the appointment, she put him down for a nap that he'd never wake up from.
I'd found him not breathing, and he was cold, and he was in the same spot he had always slept for 6 months without any problems.
Doctors initially saying it could be SIDS, RSV, or another virus.
Until we saw what was next door. They came in a black van, they were all wearing white suits. They told us that it was hazardous to stand on our porch while they emptied all the stuff out. But we're made to live next to it. This is what we breathe every day, and you guys are going in there in suits.
Baby Luca's passing can't be linked to mold right now. The medical examiner will determine that. But mold concerns, says housing eviction programs Richard Kling, make up about 1/5 of their clients.
But if there's serious mold on one side of a thin sheetrock wall, chances are it's going to keep right on migrating.
The autopsy for Luca is currently being done, but the medical examiner's office doesn't expect that to come in till February. Magnolia Apartments also did not want to comment. In studio, Brittany Toulis, Oklahoma's Own, News 9.
They don't need like this. These are their last few moments of life, and they should not go through this.
These pictures show the mold growing inside a home for the elderly in Port Charlotte. The images are from the Parkside Assisted Living Memory Cottage.
NBC2's Jenny Lenzini spoke to the woman who took those pictures. She claims it is worse than just mold.
Yeah, that woman was a former employee of this assisted living home. According to her, the mold was just the most recent of issues. She says there were multiple occasions where residents would be sitting in their feces and urine for long periods of time. Haley Wager thought she was at her dream job.
At the beginning, last year when I started, I thought Parkside was awesome. It was my first CNA job.
Fast forward to March of this year, things took a turn for the worse.
The care for the residents went downhill. The care for the maintenance in the building has went downhill.
She took these pictures this summer of mold on a resident's door.
She was in there like 3-4 weeks with the mold growing insane, where you can actually spot it on the doors.
After reporting it to managers, she claims nothing was done.
They didn't properly clean her furniture. They didn't wipe none of her furniture down. They didn't wash any of her clothing, and her clothing was in the closet that was saturated with mold. They just moved her into another room with another resident.
Even getting sick herself.
So do you think you got sick because of that mold? I do.
But mold, just the tip of the iceberg of complaints against the Port Charlotte home. We spoke with one woman who says her husband was mistreated at the facility.
He was covered in dried mucus throughout his hair, his face, and he was wet head to toe. They had to clean him up.
They're left in their urine, they're left in their feces. They're not turned, so they start getting bed sores.
Although no longer an employee, Wager's still looking to help those residents.
I love you. I love you. I hope Parkside gets into shape. I hope you're doing good. I miss you.
Jenny Lenzini reporting NBC2 reached out to Parkside's executive director, who did not respond. They did post a statement on Facebook admitting to the mold in a resident's room, but says no one got sick because of it.
Well, we've told you about several mold cases in the last few days, and tonight we're sharing another. One woman's house has mold on top of mold on top of mold. WFF 48's Jenna Ray spoke with that woman today. Jenna, how does she say the mold is affecting her family?
Kim, it's in every corner of her home on Dallas Avenue near downtown. She's tried bleach and other home remedies, but nothing has done the trick. She even claims that she has been hospitalized because of it for 7 days.
It's on their pillows, it's on the floor, it's on their shoes, and it's even in their air vents. The Brandon family has mold in almost every room of their house.
Mold infestation. We have mold so bad to the point where it's on our front door and it's in our rooms and downstairs. It's hard to live in this house.
Kiyomi Brandon has lived here with her daughters for over a year and a half.
What does it matter? You're in there now. That's what she told me.
After calling Huntsville Housing Authority several times, there is still mold.
Right here we have mold. Our cabinet has fallen off, so I'm not trying to pull it out of the way. But you have mold all right here. Inside the cabinets, this is where we keep our foods.
It's where they eat, but it's also where they sleep.
This is where she sleeps, the one with the asthma. And she sleeps right here, but it's like mold here, right here, all right there in the corner.
It's even in their air conditioning. That's brand new. Brandon says she's worried because her and her kids' asthma is severely affected by this mold.
There's a reason why she was doing a lot of coughing up. The mucus and stuff. It was dark. It was not green like a normal sinus infection. She had spots of black stuff in her mucus.
I called the housing authority several times today about Brandon's situation specifically. I even went to the main office to try and get a comment from someone. However, they just sent me an email an hour later. That email said, quote, while we cannot comment on any specific tenant situation, what we can say is that we take the issue of mold seriously. And if there is evidence of mold brought to our attention, we move to remedy the situation quickly. Again, Brandon says that she has let the HHA know about this situation several times. However, in the last year and a half that she has lived at this residence, nothing has been done. Live in Huntsville, Jenna Ray, WAFF 48 News.
Pockets of light rain in the valley today, but tomorrow things could get serious.
Yeah, we have the potential for thunderstorms, heavy downpours, maybe even flooding, but that may not be the only thing affecting your homes.
ABC 15's Stephanie Hockridge is taking action tonight on another intruder that needs to be top of mind this time of year.
Yeah, guys, we're talking about mold. In fact, during our monsoon season, it can lurk in even the most unusual places. Of course, we're talking about your roof. The experts say for a lot of people, it's out of sight, out of mind, and they just don't realize they even have a mold problem until their roof starts to leak. So molds can be caused by untreated water damage. So the moisture trapped in your roof, your ceiling, walls, and windows, items that have been wet for an extended period of time, or even flooding. So how do you avoid it? Well, we went to the experts at Rocky Mountain Restoration who say there's one big reason our monsoon storms can cause expensive mold damage in your home.
They don't take care of it. The EPA has given guidelines 24 to 48 hours to get the property dry to prevent any kind of mold growth.
So this homeowner experienced quite a bit of damage during the monsoon storms. Fortunately, he didn't have any mold, but if you find yourself in a similar situation, you too need to have your home inspected. Otherwise, in a week or two, you could start to see those spots or growth on your walls, ceilings, and yes, even your tile roof. But mold doesn't just cause structural damage. It can also lead to respiratory health issues. So very important you get it checked out. We put a lot more information up on our website, abc15.com. Just click on 15 links. Back to you.
The historic flooding of the Arkansas River left behind all sorts of problems for people along the water. Tonight, THV 11's Melissa Zigowitz shows us why allergies may become a problem for some as the cleanup process continues.
Marlisa, if you live in a home or neighborhood that experience flooding, mold can be causing you to feel sick, so it's important to protect yourself.
Runny nose, sneezing, itchy, watery eyes, coughing.
Dr. Eddie Shields is an allergist at the Arkansas Allergy and Asthma Clinic. He says the mold count is almost always extremely high this time of year.
Mold's a year-round allergen in Arkansas, but it does peak during the warmer months.
But Dr. Shields says the recent flooding in Arkansas could make the problem worse. Mold spreads quickly and dries up the spore count, making the air in the areas affected by flooding unhealthy.
I don't think it's going to be a widespread problem, but definitely people that have had flooding in their house, it could play a factor.
Dr. Shields says to protect yourself if you are cleaning up your home after the flood.
Wearing a mask to protect your nose and from inhaling mold spores, eye protection would be a good idea as well.
The flood was the worst thing that happened, but the mold could be the second worst thing that will happen.
Greg Morose owns Enviro Products International. He is busy treating homes along the river in the Little Rock area for mold.
Take all the walls down to where the water lines are at least. I probably would try to go up another foot higher.
Morose recommends staying away from Clorox. Instead, his company uses a mold inhibitor to kill off the mold safely.
So it can be used around your animals. It can be used around children. A lot of the other types of products that are going out there in today's time are Clorox type products, which are very dangerous to work with.
If you are moving back into a home and then you start having a lot of sneezing and itchy eyes and coughing, you may very well be sensitive to mold or allergic to mold, and so we could find that out by doing some allergy testing.
Morose also says to remove moisture from your home using fans and dehumidifiers. If you need help treating mold in your home after the flood, we have a link to more information on our website, thv11.com.
In the aftermath of this winter's flood, thousands of Missourians are left to rebuild their homes and lives. Estimates are more than 7,000 buildings were damaged in the affected area. In response, the state of Missouri set up multi-agency resource centers, or MARCs, providing housing assistance, food, cleanup kits, and tetanus shots. They also offered advice on how to rebuild. Pat Snodgrass, housing specialist with the University of Missouri Extension, recommends proceeding with patience and caution.
Time is on their side. They need lots of time. The first thing they need to do when they go back into a flooded home is certainly to protect themselves. They should never enter a home where there is standing water and expect to turn electricity back on. They need to have an electrician do that themselves.
Do not enter a building if it does not look structurally sound. Be sure you're up to date on your tetanus shot. Protect your hands and feet by wearing sturdy boots and nitrile gloves when handling flood-contaminated materials. Wash your hands and face frequently and use hand sanitizer. If mold growth covers more than 10 square feet, the Environmental Protection Agency recommends hiring a professional to remove it. Scrub mold from surfaces with a stiff wire brush. Discard moldy textiles. It's virtually impossible to remove mold from porous materials. Steam cleaning carpets and upholstery can actually worsen a mold problem by adding moisture to the material. Clean the area with a mild detergent. After a thorough drying, disinfect the surfaces using a solution of 1 cup bleach to 1 gallon of water. When working in flood-damaged buildings, always wear proper safety equipment, including an N95 respirator. Mold can start to grow within 48 hours after a flood. N95 masks filter most mold spores, are inexpensive, and available at hardware stores.
The mold spores can cause and lead to allergies and asthma. Certainly it's a concern for anyone that has any kind of breathing difficulty. The effects can be lingering and lifelong.
If there's mold on one side of a wall, then it's likely on the other side as well.
If they can't see it, they don't think it's there, but it is there, and that's the danger of it, of it being there and breathing it later on.
Remove damaged drywall and use a moisture meter to ensure moisture levels in wall and floorboards do not exceed 15% to prevent costly mold from returning.
If you're a homeowner going back into a flooded situation, make sure that you take the time you need to allow that home to dry out.
From the University of Missouri, I'm John Lamb.